Recently, I noticed James Rolfe had re-uploaded one of his old You Know What's Bullshit videos from around 2009. It was about movie titles. There's a couple of interesting things he says in the video. Firstly, he talks about how the fourth Final Destination movie isn't numbered. They just took the title of the first movie and added a "the."
Apparently, it's just another film in the same series. Well, how do they get off calling it by the same title? Oh, wait, sorry. Let me correct myself. The Final Destination. If you're looking for it on DVD, it's going to be like, which one? Final Destination or The Final Destination?
His main issue is that people would think that this is the first movie again, and this got me thinking, maybe that's sort of the intention. Now, as someone that's not seen any of these movies, I can't know for sure, but aren't the stories of the Final Destination movies pretty standalone and self-contained? I'm guessing you probably don't need to watch any of the previous Final Destination movies in order to get the stories of the later ones. So what's really the purpose of numbering them, other than to distinguish them from each other? Numbers are useful in an ongoing story to make it clear what order you are supposed to experience it in. Serial-based TV shows used to number their episodes, but TV shows with a new story each episode, like Star Trek, didn't do that. They had much more original and often more intriguing titles that made you wonder what the story was about. But then with the movies, they numbered each one, even though the stories to those movies, like the episodes of the show, were all standalone. Okay, so there is a big bit of continuity between Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock, and even a little bit between Search for Spock and The Voyage Home, but you can still watch any of those movies without seeing any of the ones before it, and still get the story. James talks about the Star Trek movies in his Chronologically Confused video and wonders why they stopped numbering them when they started the movies based on TNG.
Star Trek 1 through 6 were all numbered. Using the cast from Star Trek The Next Generation, they dropped the numbers from the films. Okay, well that's real fine, but where'd the fucking numbers go?
Well, the thing is, James, calling Star Trek Generations Star Trek 7 wouldn't make sense since only a few of the cast members from the first 6 movies are in it. He suggested starting a new line of sequels, but then you've got the same problem you mentioned with the Mega Man games you talk about in this very video.
There's Mega Man X, but then came Mega Man X2 and X3. There was a Mega Man 7 on Super Nintendo after all. That's right. 2 different series going on at the same time.
Once you get past a series having 3 or 4 movies, games, books, or whatever to them, numbering becomes kind of an arbitrary thing that's actually more likely to put people off checking it out. Star Wars Episode 7? Well, I've not seen any of the first 6, so I'll be lost. I remember being over at a friend's house when I was about 12. We sat down to watch Rocky 3, and I remember being worried that I would be lost because I hadn't seen either of the first 2. But I quickly realized you didn't actually need to see the first 2 movies to understand the story. Even Rocky's relationship with Apollo Creed made sense to me because I saw Rocky beat him at the start of the movie. Okay, Mickey's death probably didn't have the same kind of impact that it might have done if I'd known him for more than half a movie, but I still understood the importance of it. As much as I love the Rocky and Creed movies, most of them anyway, the titles have always looked kind of bland to me. No subtitles, just numbers. When you talk about Rocky 3, do you really think of it as the third Rocky movie? Or do you think of it as the one with Mr. T as Clubber Lang? My guess is it's probably the latter. I mentioned the confusion of the Star Wars episode numbers as a joke before, but I genuinely do think that because of the episode numbers, some people think those movies are one big story across 9 movies, when in fact they are 3 stories told across 3 movies each. James makes the point that there is more of a need to number movies when the franchise has more movies.
If they continue like this, years from now, future generations aren't going to know which order these films came in unless they do a little research first. And if anything, the more fucking sequels there are, the more necessary it would be to just fucking number them.
But I actually feel the opposite is true. Drawing attention to the fact it's just one of a number of movies just makes it look like more of a cash grab. No one ever considered numbering the Bond movies because you can just watch those movies in any order. Even the DVD box set doesn't number them. James questions why the 4th Fast and Furious movie isn't numbered. Now, I've only seen the first one, so I can't be sure, but wasn't the 4th movie supposed to be a reboot of the franchise? Of course, they kind of went back on that by calling the next one 5 and also dropping the word Furious for some reason. And then with the 7th one, they number it and drop the word Fast. And the new one is apparently going to be just F9, which is a key on the keyboard, isn't it? So I'm not sure what they're doing, really. But I digress. Let's get back to this whole numbering thing. Book series can have the best of both worlds by giving each book an intriguing title and putting numbers on the spine, like you can see here with this Harry Potter box set I have. And again with this Narnia box set. Oh wait, they renumbered these in chronological order, didn't they? There we go, publication order, much better. In fact, they even did that for the Harry Potter movies when they came out on DVD. Actually, that's an interesting story. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was the first DVD I ever bought with my own money. When I got it home, I noticed this thing on the side. Year 1. Kind of got me wondering, are they really going to turn all 7 books into movies? Keep in mind, at the time, only 4 of the books were even out, and the idea of a movie franchise having more than 3 movies just seemed crazy to me as a naive 15-year-old kid. Well, of course, they actually did make 8 movies in the end, and they maintained that year thing on the side throughout the whole series. Man, I'm getting really sidetracked here. So, back to James's video. He says it's important for movie sequels to have numbers in order to make it clear that they are part of a larger franchise.
By making a sequel, they're obviously trying to capitalize on the success of the earlier movies. So why not tell people this is 4?
But the titles normally still has the name of the franchise in it. Star Trek Generations, The Final Destination, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. All the Fast and Furious movies have either the word fast or furious in them. The only thing the numbers tell you is the order they were released in, but you can find that out with a quick search on Google, really. James is a fan of the Zelda video games, a series which has had 17 sequels, only one of which was numbered. Some were even direct sequels to other games, but he doesn't seem to have a problem with those titles. One thing about sequel titles that James doesn't talk about in his videos is how some sequels add the word part in there. I've heard the idea that this is to make it look like it was planned all along, but I think it's just to make people think of the Godfather movies and fool them into thinking it's a story on the same kind of level as that. For me though, if a movie has a number at the end, I feel kind of an unwritten obligation to at least find out what happened in the previous installments, ideally by watching them. So if there is only 1 or even 2 other movies, that's not asking too much. But watching any more than 2 other movies seems a bit much. I'm not sure any 4th or 5th movie should be numbered. If there's no number, I'm more tempted to see the movie by the subtitle, the poster, and sometimes the trailer. It won't matter if anything that happened before is important, because with no number in the title, it feels more like an original movie.